The mining moon of Kelbrus 7 was a cold, gray place. Ash covered the sky, and nothing green had grown there in 100 years. In this place, people worked with machines all day and slept under metal roofs all night. But even in such a dark place, some hearts were warm. Saren Varel, a young human woman, was one of them. Saren was a cyberneticist. She worked with machines, fixing broken tech and improving the implants miners used to survive. Her hands were skilled, her mind sharp, and many came to her for help. But one man came for more than help. His name was Dakar Vohn. Doc was charming. Tall, half human, and half Shiraxi, he had silver eyes and a voice like smooth music. He made Saren laugh. He made her feel safe. They spent long nights talking, walking the empty loading docks, sharing quiet hopes. Dakar told her he loved her. Saren believed him, but love, it turned out, was not what he had in mind. One evening, Dakar brought her a gift, a rare Shiraxi data crystal. It sparkled in the dim light like a tiny star. "For your work," he said. "To make you even better." Saren smiled, kissed his cheek, and took the crystal. That night, when she plugged the crystal into her lab system, something strange happened. Lights flickered. Her screens glitched. Then, her neural implant buzzed. Something had changed. She tried to disconnect, but it was too late. A code had entered her system. Seconds later, the lab door burst open. 6 armored guards stormed in. Saren shouted, "What's happening?" They didn't answer. One of them shot her with a stun baton. Darkness swallowed her. When she woke, she was in chains, cold steel wrapped around her wrists and ankles. Her implant was locked. She couldn't access her systems, her memories, not even her own thoughts fully. She was no longer Saren Varel, the engineer. She was now just ... inventory. A mechanical voice spoke from above her. Subject 243-9. Human, cybernetic capacity. High, memory core. Valuable, she screamed, but no one came. Days passed, maybe weeks. Time felt strange in the cryo chambers. They kept her in. She was moved from ship to ship, never awake for long. Every time she opened her eyes, she was somewhere else. A dark cargo bay, a transport shuttle, a dirty cell, and always alone. One day the ship didn't move. Saren woke. Inside a glass container. Around her were others, aliens, humans, androids, all locked in display pods. Bright lights flashed above them, and strange voices spoke in many tongues. She was on an auction station, orbiting a dead star. People were being bought and sold. She had become merchandise. Her pod opened. A tall alien with golden skin scanned. Her high-end brain mod. She's rare. Opening bid. 50,000 credits. Crowd of bidders, wealthy criminals, tech smugglers, and cartel lords, leaned in. One of them raised a finger. One other, 60, Saran. Shook, rage and fear boiling inside her. How could this happen? Where was Dakar? Why hadn't he come? Then she saw him. In the back of the auction room, standing beside a Juraxi cartel leader, was Dakar Vaughn. He wore a clean jacket, expensive boots, and a smug smile. He didn't look at her. He didn't flinch. He had sold her, her heart shattered. In that moment, the man she had trusted, the man she had loved, had given her 2 monsters for money, for power, for gain. And he was still free. Just as the highest bidder raised his hand, the lights went out. Panic filled the room. Jouts. In different languages. Weapons drawn, then silence. A red light flickered on. Smoke drifted through the air, and from the shadows, a figure stepped forward. A man in old armor, scratched and battle-worn. A plasma rifle in his hands, steady and sure. His face was hidden behind a dark visor, but his presence stopped everyone. Cold. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. In one shot, he blasted the auctioneer off the platform. Chaos erupted. Guards rushed forward. The armored man moved like a storm. Each step, each shot, perfect. Saren watched, wide-eyed, as he cleared the room. When he reached her pod, he smashed the control panel, pulled the glass open, and looked down at her. Saren Varel, he said, his voice. She knew it. Double quotes, JAC. Harrow, she whispered. He nodded. I came for you. And then she collapsed into his arms. Smoke still hung in the air when Jace Harrow carried Saren Varel out of the auction room. Behind them, the bodies of mercenaries and cartel guards lay silent. Lights blinked red. Alarms howled through the metal station. Jack didn't slow down. He moved with calm focus, holding Saren close. Her body was weak, but her mind had started to wake. She opened her eyes and looked at him, confused. Why are you here? She asked, her voice dry. To bring you home, he said. I don't have a home anymore? You will. Jace reached a small docking bay, where a dark ship waited, sharp, quiet, and fast. Its name was the Hound, painted in dull gray letters on the side. As he opened the ramp, Saren looked around. This ship, ... I remember it. Jace nodded. You were on it once. You saved my life on this ship. Her eyes widened. Memory flickered like sparks in her mind. Years ago, they had fought together during the Harrow insurgency. A bloody battle on the edge of the Outer Rim. Jace was a Marine commander. Terran, a civilian engineer hired to keep the soldiers. Implants running. She had patched Jace up more than once, sometimes while under fire. She was smart, fast, and never backed down. They weren't close back then, but Jace had never forgotten her now. Here she was, locked in chains by a man she once trusted, betrayed, hurt, and still fighting. He admired that, deeply inside the ship. Jace laid Saren on a medical bed. He removed the chains and unlocked her neural dampener. She gasped as her implant lit up again, like fire rushing through her head. Her systems came online, one by one. Take it slow, Jace said. She nodded. I can handle it. Even with pain in her face, her voice was steady. She was not broken. While she rested, Jace sat in the pilot's seat and started the engines. His AI, co-pilot, Navi, spoke in a soft voice, tracking signals from the cartel. They know we're here. 2 ships inbound. Plot a jump, Jace ordered. Already. Working, Saren walked in, holding the wall for balance. Her hair was messy, her clothes torn, but her eyes were clear. We need to move fast, she said. Dakar will come for us. Jace looked at her. Let him. The ship jumped into hyperspace. The stars stretched into light. For a moment there was silence. Then Saren turned to Jace. Why'd you come for me? She asked. He met her eyes. Because I owe you, and because no one else was going to. She stared at him. Her voice dropped. He sold me, the man I loved. He sold me like a machine. Jace's fists clenched. He'll pay. They landed on a small moon called Varan 3, far from patrol routes. It was a safe place for now. Oh. Inside a hidden bunker, Saren worked on her neural system. Shh. Jace watched her from across the room, impressed. You're rebuilding your own code, he said. Half of it was broken. I need to clean it before it breaks me. I thought you were just an engineer. She looked at him with a small smile. I was. Now I'm something else. As hours passed, they talked. It's not just about Dakar or the cartel, but old times. War, mistakes, dreams. Saren asked why Jace had left the Union forces. I exposed a war crime, he said. They called me a traitor. You did the right thing, she said softly. I thought so. Still lost everything. Saren looked down. I know that feeling. Novi warned them. A bounty has been placed on both of you. 50,000 credits each. Issued by the Jiraxi Syndicate. Signed by Dakar von Saran's face turned cold. He's scared, she said. He knows I can ruin him. Can you? Jace asked. She opened her hand, showing a small glowing chip. I kept a backup of my core. Dakar copied my mind before selling me, but I hit a trap in it. Jace raised an eyebrow. A trap? Saren nodded. If I can get access to his systems, I can take control. Not just of my copy of everything. Jace smiled. For the first time in a long while. You're planning war, he said. I'm planning justice. They both knew it wouldn't be easy. Dakar had powerful friends, ships, mercs, politicians in his pocket. But Saren had something he didn't: truth. And Jace Harrow. That night they sat by the window of the bunker. The stars above looked peaceful, but both knew the war had only begun. Saren turned to Jace. "You didn't have to save me." "No, but you did anyway." He looked at her. "You deserve to be saved." She didn't reply. But for the first time in weeks, she felt something warm inside her hope. The stars outside the window of the Hound moved slowly now. After days of running, hiding, and jumping across systems, Saren, Varel, and Jace Harrow finally had time to think. But peace didn't last long in their world. Multiple bounty pings. "In nearby space," said Navi, the ship's AI, "they're closing in." Jace leaned forward in the pilot's seat. "How many?" 3 ships, 1 small fighter, 1 mid-range corvette, and a destroyer. Saren's fingers tapped the control. "Screen all, tracking us?" "Yes," Navi replied. Saren gave a tired smile. "Dakar really wants us." Jace stood. His armored boots echoed through the bridge as he walked to her station. "We need to disappear," said. "We can't keep running forever," Saren replied. "We need to strike back." Jace raised an eyebrow. "You have a plan?" Saren nodded and pulled up a hologram. It showed a web of signals and data lines. "Dakar used my copied mind to build AI command systems. But I left a piece of myself inside, a silent code, like a sleeping knife." Jace looked closer. "Can it wake up? The right push?" "Yes. But I need access to a central node." Jace crossed his arms. "Where?" "His private satellite tower," Saren said. Deep in cartel space, it was madness. The tower was protected by fleets, traps, and automated defenses. But Saren's eyes were burning with purpose. Jace smiled faintly. "Then let's sharpen that knife." As they prepared to leave, a warning alarm blared through the ship. "Enemy ships approaching," Navi reported. "ETA 90 seconds. Jace didn't hesitate. "Strap in." Saren dropped into her chair, activating countermeasures. Outside, space lit up with fire. The fighter came in first, its guns blazing. Jace spun the Hound sideways, dodging with precision. Corvette fired missiles, but Saren jammed their targeting systems. One exploded too early. The other spun into debris. The destroyer loomed in the distance. "Massive and deadly. They're trying to box us in," Jace said. Saren's hands flew across the screen. "I can blind their sensors for 30 seconds. After that, we're out of luck. That's all I need." Jace pushed the ship into a tight dive, flying toward an asteroid belt. The enemy followed. Inside the belt, rocks the size of buildings floated in slow motion. The Hound weaved through them like a shadow. One wrong move could destroy them. But Jace flew like a man who had danced with death before. Saren locked in a data spike. "Now, hit the button." Enemy sensors went dark. Jack dove beneath a giant rock and flipped the ship upward. The destroyer fired too late. Its shot missed by kilometers. In the silence that followed, "Still the best pilot I've ever seen." Jace chuckled.
Oh.
"Still the smartest engineer I've ever met." She looked at him, serious now. "Why do you really care, Jace? About me?" He paused. "'Cause you saved me once, not just on the battlefield, but after. When everything else went dark, I remembered you, the way you believed in people. It gave me something to hold on to." Saren didn't speak for a moment. Then she whispered, "Thank you." The next jump brought them near Galax 9, a city moon, where black market tech flowed like water. Here they found someone who could help Rev. A rogue AI Siren had once repaired during her early tech days. Rev owed her a favor. Inside an old cargo bay, the AI appeared as a silver orb floating in the air. "You return?" Rev said. "And not alone. I need access," Saren told it. "To the Shiraxi core grid. I know you can link it." Rev flickered. "Danger is high. I know. Reward. Freedom. I'll unlock the chains they placed on your mind." Rev paused. Accepted. With Rev's help, Saren created a ghost signal, a fake transmission designed to trick the cartel into thinking she was somewhere else. It would buy them just enough time to sneak past patrol lines and get close to the satellite tower. Before they left, Rev floated toward Jace. Protect her. Protect was a short nod. With my life. On board the Hound again, Saren checked her. Gear. Jace watched her from the other side of the room. You're different, he said. How so? Stronger, sharper, before you fixed machines. Now you're fighting gods. Saren smiled. I'm just tired of being quiet. Jace walked closer. Whatever happens next, you won't face it alone. They stood there for a moment, two people who had lost everything, found a reason to stand again, as the Hound jumped toward cartel space. Saren looked out at the stars. Dakar doesn't know it yet, she said softly, but the mind he stole is coming back with fire. Jace loaded his rifle and replied, and I'll be right behind it. The dark edge of cartel space was no place for travelers, especially not wanted ones. Dead satellites floated like forgotten ghosts. Patrol drones scanned every signal. Ships disappeared here without a trace. But the Hound was quiet, and it was. Coming home inside, Saren Varel sat at her console, eyes focused, fingers typing fast. Her short brown hair was tied back now. Her eyes glowed slightly, a side effect of reactivating the deeper layers of her neural core. Beside her, Chase Harrow checked his weapon gear. He watched her as she worked, silently impressed. She had changed, stronger, colder in some ways, but still human. Still the same woman who had once fixed machines with a warm smile. Coordinates locked, Saren said. Satellite Tower 9 is within reach. Jace leaned in. Security? Hi. But I found a weak spot in their data feed. I'll have to land on a nearby debris ring and glide in with manual thrusters. No engine noise, no signals. Jace gave a sharp nod. The satellite tower floated above a dying gas planet, its long metal arms stretching out like claws. It was part machine, part palace, a private stronghold for high-level Garaxi members. Dakar Vaughn had built this place to store his power and her stolen mind. The Hound slid into the debris ring like a shadow. Jace turned off all systems except manual controls. The ship drifted slow and silent, using the broken pieces of metal and ice as cover. Inside, Saren slipped into a tight exosuit. Thin armor, reinforced with neural fiber. Not made for war, but for precision. It's for infiltration. Do you remember your way around? Jace asked. I remember everything, Saren replied. They launched from the ship in two small pods, gliding through the black toward the station's underbelly. Cold silence wrapped around them. Jace's heart beat steady. He had trained for missions like this, but never with someone like Saren. He wasn't just protecting a teammate, he was protecting someone who mattered. They landed on a maintenance bay and cut through a vent grill. Inside, Saren pulled up a map on her visor. I know where the core is, sublevel 3. We take the left corridor, skip the security door, and drop into the shield chamber. Lead the way, Jay said. They moved through the tower like ghosts. Past guards, past cameras, past locked doors. Saren's code broke every barrier. Her hands were steady. Her face was calm. But inside, her heart burned. They reached the core chamber, a giant room with a glowing cube in the center. Data streams flowed around it like rivers of light. Inside that cube was a copy of her mind, twisted and used to power cartel AI. Saren stepped forward, staring at it. Her face hardened. That's mine, she whispered. She placed her palm on the control pad. Lights flickered. The cube responded. System entry. Accepted. A voice said.
Welcome back, Saren Vril.
Her eyes glowed brighter. Code flowed through her body. She began to overwrite the corrupted systems. Bit by bit, the false copy of her mind was destroyed. Her code replaced it pure, true, and dangerous. Suddenly an alarm screamed. They know, Jace said, raising his rifle. The door behind them exploded. Guards poured in, shouting in Jiraxi tongue. Jace fired, fast and sharp, took cover. Moved between pillars, protected the core. Saren didn't flinch. She kept typing. One guard got too close. Jace dropped him with one shot. Another tossed a flash grenade, but Saren hit a button, and the blast was absorbed by the chambers. Shield, I need 2 more minutes. She called. You've got it, Jace answered. Then a deep voice echoed through the chamber. Stop. Everyone froze. Dakar Vaughn stepped through the smoke, wearing a long silver coat and carrying a plasma staff. His silver eyes locked onto Saren. You shouldn't be alive, Saren turned slowly. Her face was calm, but her voice was cold. You stole from me. I made you stronger, Dakar replied. I made you valuable. You sold me. He shrugged. It was just business. Jace stepped forward. Then this is just war. Dakar smiled cruelly. You must be the soldier. Harrow, right? I read your file. Man who couldn't keep his team alive. What makes you think you can protect her? Jace didn't answer with words. He shot first. Dakar moved fast, spinning his staff, blocking the shot. The guards attacked again. Jace fought them all, dodging, striking, covering Saren. Dakar rushed toward the core. But Saren was ready. She lifted her hand and sent a surge of code directly into the core's base. Sparks flew. Energy slammed into Dakar like a hammer. He screamed and dropped to one knee. Saren walked up to him. You copied my mind, she said, but you never understood it. She pressed her hand to his chest and shut him down. His body fell unconscious. The alarm stopped. Jace walked to her, breathing hard. You did it. Saren looked around. The room was quiet now. The core was pure hers again. Her voice softened. No more running, no more chains, Jace added. They set charges and escaped through the lower vents. As they flew away, the tower exploded behind them, a bloom of light across the stars. On board the Hound, Saren stood beside Jace. Her body was tired, but her heart was full. You saved me twice now, she said. He smiled. I guess I'm getting good at it. She stepped closer. I don't know where this journey ends, but I don't want to walk it alone. Jace reached for her hand. Then let's walk it together. The explosion from the satellite tower still glowed behind them as the Hound flew through the stars. Pieces of burning metal floated in the distance. The tower was gone. Dakar Vaughn's power base destroyed, but Saren Varel knew it wasn't over yet. Inside the ship, Saren stood in the control room, staring at the screen. Her hands were steady. Her heart wasn't. There was one more step left, one final reckoning. She turned to Jace Harrow, who stood behind her, arms crossed. Dakar's still alive, she said quietly. I know. He'll come for us. Jace nodded at him. But this time, we go to him first. Saren had taken back her stolen mind. She had broken the chain that Decker used to control her. But the damage he caused, the pain, the betrayal, the selling of human minds, it couldn't be undone by one explosion. Jace had seen it too many times in war. Evil hid behind power. If you didn't tear out the root, it would grow back. Where is he now? Jace asked. Saren tapped the console. His flagship, the Thornlight. It's heading toward the planet Narrows Prime. That's where his final deal is taking place. What kind of deal? He's trading something? Data. Something stolen from me. Jace's eyes narrowed. We end it there. They prepared for the mission like it was their last. Jack checked every weapon, every charge, every piece of armor. He sharpened his focus like a blade. Saren, meanwhile, uploaded the final version of her code into a portable drive. It held not just her data, but evidence of everything Deckar had done. She would send it to the Union as soon as they were done. This will destroy his name forever, she told Jace. Jace only said one thing. Good. Narrows Prime was a rich city world, with shining towers and silver domes. On the surface, it looked peaceful. But underneath it was ruled by syndicates, cartels, corrupted officials. They landed the Hound far from the city and used an old service tunnel to get inside. The air was warm. Neon lights blinked over silent alleys. Jace and Saren wore cloaks to blend in. The trade is taking place in the upper tower of the Syndicate Bank, Saren whispered. That place is guarded like a fortress. Then we break the fortress, Jace said. They climbed stairwells, crossed walkways, avoided guards. Every step brought them closer. In the upper chamber of the bank tower, Dakar Vaughn stood in front. Of a large screen, was calm again, dressed in dark blue armor. A powerful alien buyer stood across from him, holding a crystal cube. Your product, the alien said, better be worth the price. Dakar smiled. It's a full copy of Saren Varel's mind, all of her skills, all of her knowledge. She is. The future? Wrong, said a voice behind them. Everyone turned. Saren and Jace stepped into the room, alive, armed, and no longer hiding. Dakar's eyes widened. How you used me, Saren said. Sold me. Betrayed me. Now I'm here to return. The favor. Dakar reached for his weapon, but Jace was faster. He shot it from Dakar's hand and stepped forward. No more tricks, Jace said. Guards rushed in. A firefight exploded. Saren ducked behind a pillar, activated her signal blocker, and sent a virus into the security systems. Doors locked, windows sealed. The room became a trap, and she controlled it. Jace moved through the fight like a storm. Silent, fast, deadly. His eyes never left Daka. Saren stood across from her ex-lover. This was the man she once trusted. The man who turned her life into a nightmare. But she wasn't afraid now. You thought you owned me, she said. You thought I was just data to sell. Dakar spat on the ground. You were nothing. Just a tool. I built everything. You built lies, Saren replied. And I came to burn them down. She pressed a small button. A screen lit up above. Them showing the recording of Dakar's crimes. His voice, his deals, his data thefts, all exposed. The feed streamed to every Union system nearby. No, Dakar shouted. The alien buyer stepped back in anger. You lied to me. Wait, Dakar begged. But it was too late. The buyer left. Jace grabbed Dakar and pinned. Him to the ground? You won't hurt anyone else, he said. Dakar growled. You're just a washed-up soldier. And she's not yours anymore, Jace replied. Saren stepped forward. She looked down at Dakar one last time. This is where your empire ends, she said. Then she turned away. The authorities arrived minutes later. The evidence was too strong to ignore. Dakar Vaughn was arrested and taken away. Syndicate Bank denied any involvement, but Saren knew the truth. And the galaxy would know it too. Later, back on the Hound, the stars were peaceful again. Saren sat beside Jace, holding a cup of warm tea. I thought I'd feel more angry, she said softly. You don't. I feel ... free. Jace looked at her. You earned it. She smiled. So did you. They sat quietly for a moment. The war was over. The pain hadn't vanished, but it no longer controlled them. I don't know what happens next, Saren said. Jace had reached for her hand. Then let's find out together. The stars drifted quietly outside the window of the Hound as it floated in safe space. No alarms, no chases, no running. For the first time in what felt like forever, Saren Varel could breathe. She stood in the control room, looking out into the deep black. Her hair was loose now, falling gently over her shoulders. Her expression was calm, not because everything was perfect, but because she had survived the storm. Behind her, Jace Harrow stepped into the room, 2 mugs of hot drink in his hands. You still don't sleep much, he said, offering her one. Saren smiled faintly and took it. I've spent so many nights looking over my shoulder. My mind still doesn't understand that it's over. Ouch. Sipped quietly, then looked out the window beside her. It is over, Saren. Dakar is gone. His lies, his empire, his files erased. You did that. She turned to him. You did that. Over the last few days, news had spread fast. Dakar Vaughn's crimes had been exposed across systems. The stolen mines, the illegal deals, the betrayals, all made public. The cartel was collapsing. Other leaders were fleeing. People were asking questions. Change was starting, Saren had sent her final report to the Union, not for revenge, but to stop others from being used like she was. "It still hurts sometimes," she said softly, wrapping her hands around the warm mug. "What he did." "I lost." Jace nodded. "That pain doesn't go away easily, but it doesn't control you anymore." Saren looked at him. "You never gave up on me," he smiled. "You never gave up on yourself. I just reminded you who you were." Later that morning, the two of them landed on a small green moon orbiting a quiet planet. No cities, no battles, just peace. They stepped out into the open air. Gentle wind blew across the hills. The sun was rising slowly behind the mountains. Saren closed her eyes. The warmth touched her face. It felt real. They sat under a large tree at the top of the hill, looking down at the valley. Saren had brought a small memory box from the ship. Inside were old pictures, tools from her early engineering days. In a single folded photo, her team from the research base, before it all went wrong. "I thought I lost myself back then," she said, holding the photo. "But you're here now," Jace said. And stronger, she smiled gently. "I want to help rebuild. Not machines this time, but people, victims like me. I want to help them find their way out. Be perfect for it." She turned to him. "And you?" Jace looked thoughtful. "I've seen too much war. I think it's time I start protecting things instead of just fighting." Saren touched his hand. "You already do." That evening they sat by a small fire near the ship. The stars slowly blinked to life above them. Saren leaned against Jace's shoulder, warm and safe. "I never thought I'd feel peace again," she whispered. "Peace isn't something we find," Jace said. "It's something we build." She looked up at him, and love. He met her eyes. "Love is what helps us stay." For a long time, there was no sound but the fire and the breeze. Then Saren spoke again. "There's a whole galaxy out there, full of pain, but also full of people like us. Survivors, fighters, healers. I want to find them." Jace nodded. "Let's do it." Together, she reached for his hand. He held it gently, fingers wrapping around hers like a promise. In the days that followed, they refitted the Hound, not for war, but for rescue. They updated the systems, added new healing tech, set a new mission. To travel across systems, find those who had been broken, and give them hope. They became known slowly, quietly, not as heroes, but as helpers. A woman once stolen and silenced. A soldier once lost and hardened. Now two souls rebuilding not just themselves, but others. On one such mission, they found a small mining colony attacked by pirates. Dozens of workers were trapped underground. Saren hacked the system, opened the doors, and saved them. One of the miners, a young girl, looked up at her with wide eyes. "Are you the one they talk about?" the girl asked. "The woman who was sold, but escaped?" Saren knelt beside her and smiled. "I was taken once," she said gently, "but now I'm free. And I'm here for you." At night, when they flew through the stars again, Jace would sometimes glance at her across the ship. "You've changed the meaning of your name," he told her once. "How?" "Before they used it to control people. Now they use it to inspire." Smiled, then, "Let's keep flying. There's more to do." One evening, long after the pain had faded, Jace stood beside her on the ship's deck, holding a small ring. "I don't have much," he said, "but I have this. I have you. Will you stay with me? Not because we're running, but because we're finally home." Saren looked at him, eyes full of tears. Not from sadness, from healing. "I already am home," she whispered. And yes, above them the stars blinked like soft lanterns. Around them, peace stretched on. Between them, love had taken root, not from a perfect story, but from a true one. Together they flew toward a new dawn.